everything straight. It's like seeing John Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I host News every morning.
And the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences, my dear brothers and sisters. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow on the East-West Show. For so many years with a glorious tradition, me and my team try every bit we can to help you with the information that we believe you might need. Especially when the pandemic started, and I feel especially proud of my team. They are still here. They are sticking to their post. And of course, the same credit goes to my dear friend, Mr. Ken Hemming. He is the, I would say, long-time tested friend to the community and a lover to this show. And of course, he is a philosopher himself, who I stick to, argue with, agree with all the time. Thank you for staying with me, especially during the pandemic.
Yes.
Right, and he hasn't missed any show except for the 1 month period when he was doing his knee operation.
Right, thank you.
Right, all right. Okay, so thank you very much. Welcome to the show.
And Jack, you know how happy I am when I'm with you and your viewers, and I'm very proud to be the weakest link in your team. But I'm on your team anyway.
Sure. Thank you very much. Today our subject is BLM / agenda.
Yes, sir.
Right. And of course, you all know what BLM stand for. You will never seldom know the agenda.
True.
Some of folks, even black folks themselves, who signed and registered as a member of the protesters for the BLM movement, may not exactly know what the agenda is, or agendas are, agendas behind. And by the way, it is a subject or topic that I pick up not without hesitate.
Yes, sir.
Not
Correct.
without hesitation. I did hesitate a lot, and I did do a lot of homework, and I even invited my friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, to join me in the homework. And we came to a conclusion that we talk about it,
Yes, sir.
right? It's a country of freedom of speech
We're not intimidated.
given by the Constitution.
Yes,
right?
sir.
While you have your right to speak out, to voice out, we have our own.
Correct.
Let's each do our part in expressing ourselves. I'm not saying necessarily I disagree with any particular person. I am talking about it is better to open the behind the scenes stories
Yes.
of the movement, especially of the leaders of the movement,
Yes.
BLM. So to my friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, what do you know about this lady? First lady here, I have Patrice Collars.
Well, Jack, there are three ladies that founded this essentially in 2016 after Trayvon Martin was killed, and all of these little things happened, even though he wasn't murdered. The man that killed him was innocent of the crime, but that didn't matter. And the big thing that's happening is the overall commitment of the three founders and also currently our Democratic Party, that with the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech, they just don't want dissent. if they think you're dissenting from their dream and their agenda, then they want to shut you up or dox you and have people, do bad things to you. So that's the danger we have. But now this lady, there's three of them, and Patrice is intelligent. She's from the Los Angeles area. She's highly educated, but educated in ways that are kind of more for like a community organizer or a social activist education.
In her words, trained.
Well,
Trained organizer.
she's a trained organizer, and all three of these are committed and trained Marxists. Okay, in Marxism, that's just authoritarian government.
She did say so herself.
Yes,
I have
No,
a
they
quote
do.
unquote, I have a quotation from her.
Right.
She says that, you go ahead.
Yeah.
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Okay. Anyway, but she's an author, and then like one of the.
Oh, yeah.
wh-
Myself and Alicia, in
Yes.
particular, are trained organizers.
Yes.
We are trained Marxists.
Right, and that goes way back to
Unquote.
Karl Marx in the 1850s or something,
yeah.
okay? And the last thing America needs, if we have a constitution and freedoms, is Marxism and socialism. They're all married to each other.
Cam, time has changed, right? If you're talking to me, quoting Karl Marx.
Yes, sir.
I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
I know who you're talking about. I know what exactly Marxist is.
Yes.
And was, and the Marxism is. I know exactly.
Yeah.
However, we're talking about a post-millennial
Right.
generation.
Excellent point.
They do not even know who Marxist
They don't.
was.
They don't.
Right.
And they don't care.
Can you please give a little briefing about who Karl Marxist was, please?
Well, basically a social philosopher, okay? In the 1850s, 1860s. He had great hair. He had a big beard, a lot of hair, and whatever. And so he started writing. And way back, when they first established a town for Marxism and socialism, it was 800 people in Indiana. And where everybody then was supposed to just help each other, just like a commune, okay? And it failed miserably within a year and had to disperse because it doesn't work, okay? Because there is really no equality when people don't have equal talents and don't have equal contributions to the benefit of others, because everybody's still got a little bit of me in them, okay? And so it doesn't build for a stronger community.
Make a long story short,
it's
we want to give a
totalitarianism.
Marxist a little thorough or relatively correct or more direct discrimination. Very sorry.
Yeah.
Description.
Yeah, description, right.
The description is that Marxist found his own theory that capitalism was or is built upon exploitation.
Correct. Right.
Is not, on the other hand, from the materialism. A fact is that even now the whole society is moving with the force of capital.
Capitalism,
And
yeah.
the capitalism.
Yeah.
All right. Number one.
Enterprise,
And
free
number
enterprise.
two, with the Marxist theory that was adopted by Lenin.
Yes.
Vladimir Lenin
Evolved
of a previous Russia,
Right.
a previous Soviet Union.
Right.
He created socialism out of
Yeah.
the Marxism right away.
Yes.
If you do not know what socialism is, you look around the world, you compare the 1950s,
Okay.
you tell me how many systems are the socialism system, and you count now how many are remaining,
Right.
you will probably get the answer already, because the social system would not last itself.
It does not last because it does not sustain an economy, and it does not sustain opportunity for people to move up in society, okay? And the socialism in Russia evolved into Russian communism.
They reject religion.
Reject religion.
They
yes.
reject the believing.
Yes.
They reject ideology.
Well, they have their ideology.
They stick only to materialism.
Well, and power. It's all about
And
control.
power.
Power and
back
control.
to Lenin, to the time of Vladimir Lenin,
Yeah.
there were lots of killings.
Oh, millions. Literally millions.
Nicholas II, the whole family was killed.
They were
Remember
assassinated.
they were slaughtered.
They were slaughtered.
In the underground.
Yeah. 6 kids and the parents. They just
Yeah.
taken down and slaughtered.
Nicholas II.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, if killing started from
1917.
here, from there, and it went all the way the last whole century,
Yeah.
socialism.
It's over, yeah.
Look at Korea. That's a living example of socialism.
Right.
How many are being killed? Right.
Yes.
So
and there's no hope for
now,
economic
when
strength.
I saw the background of Marxism
Yeah.
about this very lady, this beautiful lady,
Yeah.
I was shocked. And then when I read her own quote
Yeah.
saying that myself and Alicia
Yeah.
are trained organizer, we are trained Marxism.
Right.
I had chills.
Yes, because it's 100%
I had
anti-American.
a goosebump over me.
Right.
All right. I was so scared. My dear friends, let's take a moment out. We want to dissect what's happening now. We want to see behind these letters BLM.
Yes.
There might be something else. Stay with us,
There
please.
is.
Everything expected to change. It's like it seems on way.
My name is Paul James. I host the news
And a golden angel award ceremony.
Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the East West Show. As a matter of fact, it's not only a show, it's an analysis of what's happening around us. It is a peeling of an onion,
Yes.
layer after layer,
Peeling.
to see the core.
Right.
Right. So we're in the process of peeling the very onion. The onion being, what is the BLM? What are behind the BLM? Right. Join me, of course. What I'm saying represents only myself.
Right.
Right. It doesn't form a stand position of this business.
Right.
And my show neither. So it is only my personal opinion.
Right. And pretty much everything I say is in disagreement with the media presentation, how they talk about Black Lives Matter, with our radical Democrats that are supporting them
The
strongly.
only call is that to tell the truth.
And it's all the truth
Nothing
that we're
wrong
talking
telling
about.
the truth.
No, and that's what we're doing.
Right.
And the problem is so many people are really truly ignorant of it, and a lot have been brainwashed going up through our school system about how evil America
exactly.
is, how like you say, how capitalism just takes advantage of everybody rather than gives them an advantage. It gives them the advantage of opportunity. And so we're talking deep into the agenda of what they're after.
Yeah. When I was in school in China as a child,
Yes.
I was taught with the philosophy, with the principle, I just say principle, that Karl Marx has discovered the term surplus value.
Okay.
Surplus value. Because when I put up 1 hour work and I produced 10 cell phones,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Each of them worth 1,000,
Right.
right? And I get, well, of the 10,000 that I produce, right? And I get my salary, and my salary is only a minimal,
Yeah.
a
Minimal, yeah.
minimal portion of it. And
Right.
the big
From
part,
the revenue generated from your effort.
the big part goes to the
owners.
owner of the business.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Which by on this looking at the surface though, is true.
Right.
But the fact is that without the capitalism, without the capital, without the owner of the manufacturer,
Who has the risk?
where do you have to work? Where do you work?
That's a good point. Because also, if you do your one job and you do it very, very well, you will be promoted.
Yeah, of
and then you
course.
will be promoted.
Of course,
and
of
then maybe
course.
you'll own the business.
Of course, the best picture will be that in the value of surplus,
Right.
and the value that you created, you get a reasonable portion.
Yeah, you grow in your participation.
In this country, we can go on strike.
Yeah.
We can put our request. We can go to court to get our share.
Yeah.
Back then, in a socialist society, back to the Leninist time,
Yes.
that means a riot,
Yeah, that's right.
right? Uprising,
Well, and that's what's happening in America right now.
meaning killing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So now
That's Portland.
You want to start killing in order to get your right share. That's the core of Marxism.
That's the core of Marxism, and it's the core of anarchy, Antifa, and the desires for Black Lives Matter, for more power. And they're not getting it through ballots; they're getting it through violence. That's their
All right.
tool.
China copied Russia for quite a bit,
Yeah.
for about more than half a century, until the late 70s or into the early 80s.
Okay.
They abandoned it
Yeah.
by creating a route of their own.
Yes. A
They
blend.
call it the China kind of of socialism.
Right. It's a blend of capitalism.
Yeah, blend.
Yeah.
By which they abandoned the part that the Marxists believe that only by uprising, by killing,
Yeah.
can you get your own share, fair share.
Right.
Right? So they abandoned that part. However, they should have done that a long time ago. In the year of 1967,
Yes, sir.
Liu Shaoqi, the second hand of China,
Okay.
said that I disagree with the fact that capitalism is based on exploitation.
Right.
And he says, quote unquote, without exploitation, where do you work?
That's right. Right. Without the opportunity to be exploited and rewarded.
Yeah, without the opportunity of being exploited,
Yeah.
where do you work? Where do you get your bread and the milk?
It'd all be in the fields on farms.
And of course, for
And it
that,
doesn't work that way.
Of course, for that he was killed. He was killed by Mao Zedong.
Was he? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a result.
Yeah.
Right. Good. Now, what gets me the goosebump is the part is that for me, a person who went through
Yes,
that system,
you did.
to look back though, especially it says here, black and white.
Yes.
I'm a trained Marxist.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry, lady. I get scared.
Well, it's very scary. And then just think like Black Lives Matter has sort of just been accepted as a phrase that is really not
No. Even the agenda of Black Lives Matter
Okay.
does not fall in the ballpark of Marxism.
Well, they are Marxists.
No.
It falls in the
I mean,
ballpark of power.
At the time when the protesters signing in as registered
Yeah.
On the street, though,
Right.
they were not told that we are doing Marxism.
No, they weren't told. They're undereducated, underinformed.
yeah, that's my
and
point.
they don't search for the truth behind this.
That's
But
my
just
point.
think, how common could a phrase like "White Lives Matter" be? It couldn't be. This has been thrust upon us, and all that counts. If we're talking for any kind of equality, it has to include everybody. This doesn't include everybody. That's the big issue.
Of course.
Yeah, it just
Of course.
doesn't.
Of course.
And also, the real tragedy.
Forget that even the philosophy or the logic
Yeah.
of BLM
Yeah.
needs to be restudied, need to be rephrased at least.
Well, I hope it's
I'm
being
not
redefined.
I'm not against the movement. I'm suggesting that could be rephrased.
Well, I am against the agenda of this movement. Now, the thing is, Jack, in all of these beautiful areas in the big
Here
cities,
is a rocket,
okay,
right? Can you tell me which part matters?
every little screw and bolt and nut.
Even
One failure in space,
even a
you
screw,
got dead guys.
even a washer,
right,
even a
Right.
what is it called? O-ring.
right. And that's what civilization is. It's
right?
made up of
So
the nuts and
you're
bolts
talking
and
about
screws.
in a civilized
Yeah,
life,
right.
every bit, every part.
Right.
So, which part is the important of this pen? Everything is.
Certainly the ink, but everything. But
Which
if you
part-
push it, it doesn't work.
Which part of me is the more important?
You know, all of you. It's very to be a healthy adult male.
I am just calling a spade a spade.
Right.
All right.
So all
I
parts
am just calling a
are
spade a
of
spade.
equal
Okay,
value.
now, suppose we're a society. We're a rocket.
right.
Everybody has a life.
Everybody.
Every life being the part
Right.
of this rocket.
Right.
So, okay, it is not wrong to say this screw is important.
Yeah. And this one isn't. Yeah. You can't say that.
That one, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Just say, if you just say
sir.
this corner through is important.
Yes.
Of course, I agree. It's important.
Yes.
And my saying is that this through this corner is equally important.
And that's a true statement.
And you will say this one is equally more important too.
Right.
As a result, at the end of the day, every part, every screw,
Is necessary.
every washer,
Yeah.
every O-ring, everything
Everything.
is important. All right. In other words, if all these parts are being live, though, can we say all lives matter?
They do matter, and also it's the same thing that it must be opportunity for everybody. It's not. There's no guarantee of success, but in America, you have the opportunity to come from nothing, which many people do, and achieve great success. And
Almost
success is
opportunity.
not just money.
Yeah, opportunity
It's
is
family.
The word of opportunity is a mixture of everything.
Yes,
It at least includes your own endeavor.
your own efforts.
You have to maneuver your own ship
You do.
to
True.
catch your opportunity. Opportunity is not a rain that
Yeah.
falls over everybody on the head.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and you know, and not everybody maximizes their opportunity. I've certainly haven't maximized what I could have achieved if I'd have been maybe thinking a little different or worked a little harder. But I've worked very hard. But the opportunity, nobody held me back from whatever I became.
I'm just
nobody held me back.
I was just trying to find out through terminology.
Yeah.
Through terminology to find out what's wrong, or say what could be rephrased.
Right. Well, the whole purpose could be rephrased, could be redefined. But when you have three people,
I found out what could be rephrased would be all lives matter.
right? But they won't even. You're a racist if you even say that.
All right, my
According
dear
to them.
friend, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the show. But right now we want to take a break, and we will be back right away. With me today is my dear friend, Mr. Ken Hemming. It looks that we're peeling the onion that we are peeling is being very successfully peeled off layer by layer. We start to see now a better name of the movement. The movement would be, how about all lives matter?
And they do.
Right, good. It makes lots of sense, right?
Yes.
Okay, my dear friend, we'll be right back.
Everything from perspective, straight. It's like seeing John Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I host English News Report.
And the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, my dear friend, my lovely audiences, brothers, sisters, ladies and gentlemen. My dear fellow American citizens, welcome back to the show. I'm very glad today, after weeks of hesitation, we pick up this subject because it is a subject that you do not touch unless, number one, you have the guts.
That's
Number
right.
two,
And we
you
do.
did thorough homework, right?
Yeah.
And number three, which is more important, is that you have the mind to help ourselves by helping them, by helping everybody to make a better understanding what we see now.
Yes.
Right. As a conclusion of the first paragraph, second paragraph, first segment, and the second segment, we concluded we would be much better off if we call it a movement of all lives matter.
Right.
Right, good. Now, let's move on. Okay, with me is my dear friend, Mr. Ken Hemming. Mr. Ken Hemming has a very rich background, and he's got a very good credit for loving this community, for donating his time and efforts to the community relentlessly. And for that, I would respect you a lot.
Thank you.
And I will salute. Okay,
I appreciate it.
Now, back to the subject. We talk about the lady who is on top of the organizer
Yeah.
and behind the BLM movement.
Patrice.
And the second one, Alicia Garza.
Right.
How much do you know about her?
Well, she's out of Oakland, and she is a admitted lesbian, and so the
Oakland
black,
up north?
yes. So the Black Lives Matter is very, very much pro-LGBT, and that's fine. But that's part of their agenda is almost anti-hetero, and just wide open-minded on sexuality and that. But also that she's a writer. They're all talented people. I just feel sorry that they're kind of misguided in the contribution to peace and civilization. And so she's got a lot of awards for writing, and all related to like community organizing and protesting and
Trained organizer
yeah.
as Patrice.
Just like Barack Obama was. His only job was as a community organizer. Now, he never went as far left as these people, but maybe he would now. He possibly would now. She's busy. She runs an organization too. So I mean, they have jobs besides the money, which we'll talk about that comes to the Black Lives Matter organization. But so she's just an activist, and together they, in their third person, is somebody named Opal Tometi, who's out of New York, and now she's a Nigerian.
That's
she's
the third woman.
one.
Yes.
She's from Nigeria. She's out of New York, and she's the head of something called the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. Okay, so she's from Nigeria, so she focuses on immigration. They want to get a lot of more immigration from the African area into America. You don't see any African Americans that are going back to Africa, and there's quite a few that do come here through the legal immigration channels. They want to expand that more, just to create more power for the black community. And she's, they're I've heard them talk. She calls herself a transnational feminist because she's a foreign person. But I've heard them talk. I mean, they're very committed. They have no tolerance for dissent. That's the biggest thing. Tolerance is one of my favorite words. You can call me anything, Jack. I totally, no problem. Nothing offends me. But this agenda here, they're very offended if you have disagreement. And if they ever got power in America, this whole thing, the radical left power, then the First Amendment would be wiped out. They're trying to do that right now. with our high-tech things like Twitter, not allowing the truth to be spoken if it happens to be pro-Trump or something, or Facebook and Google, the power they have is ridiculous. And every one of the leaders of the high-tech mega corporations are radical left that believe in no border. They believe in a globalism, and they're with their power, they may succeed in destroying America's dream through the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
Is she the third person, or all the three are equally important as the three organizers?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think it was Patrice that was in July 14th, July 13th, 2013, coined the term Black Lives Matter, and then they refined it.
That was something first heard of.
Yeah.
In between the case of Trayvon Martin.
Right.
I mean, George
Michael Brown.
George Zimmerman over Trayvon Martin.
Right.
And then
Michael Brown.
Right.
Now, both those guys.
In between these incidents.
Yeah.
Right. People do have the tendency to be kind of like pathetic on the Trayvon Martin part, on Michael Brown's part. Right. And that probably, as a environment, gave birth to the
pretty much so.
BLM?
Yeah, I'm sure they thought about this before. But for example, when they formed this, they really displayed their lack of acceptance of America and its system, because both of those people that shot those two guys were tried in our court system and they were found innocent. And they would not accept that they're innocent. So, and that's why one of their main agenda core items, Jack, is the elimination of all prisons, the eradication of all prison records. You can't have a record that you did this or that, and also the destruction or elimination of police. Now, if we ended up with, if America ended up, I mean, just think about it. If there were no prisons and there's no police, there's no civilization and there's no safety. As a matter of fact, in Minneapolis right now, the police department in Minneapolis has warned the citizens, if anybody wants anything, give it to them. We can't help. Yeah.
Hold on a little bit. We will talk about we will talk about the part of elimination of police power, law enforcement.
Right.
We'll talk about that. Those are more obvious and more hilarious to talk about.
Well, it's pretty scary.
We will entertain ourselves with that later on.
Yeah.
We save it for the, let's do it. Let's save it for the fourth segment.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right now I'm talking about, do you recall, my brother?
Yes.
You and I, we did lots of shows about the over Trayvon Martin case.
We did 20 shows.
and also the Michael Brown case.
Right.
Did you recall?
And you and I disagreed on a lot of that.
Of course. Did you recall where I stood?
Yeah, I did.
Right. I disagree totally, even today.
Yeah.
Even today, that George Zimmerman was a free man.
Okay, and I don't. So that's fine.
George Zimmerman was guilty as hell.
Trayvon Martin was pounding him. He had him under him on the ground, pounding him.
All right.
So I disagree.
Okay, no.
But that's okay. We're America.
I just say one more time why I disagree. Right.
Okay.
At the time, Trayvon Martin was laying on the ground. It was George Zimmerman was laying on the ground.
Right.
Trayvon Martin was on top,
pounding them.
Right, pounding.
Right.
Who has the gun?
Well, if you don't have a gun, you're the dead man.
No. Who has the gun?
His life, George's life was in trouble.
George Zimmerman had the gun.
Right. I'm glad he did.
George Zimmerman had
the gun.
Trayvon
wanted the gun.
No. Anyway.
Of course.
Okay, anyway, I disagree with that. I disagree with the court's finding.
Well, then you
disagree
with
the verdict.
Okay. So
I disagree, and George Zimmerman helped me himself. Shortly after that, he proved the kind of person he was.
Hey, you don't have to be a good person, but you're disavowing support for our system of a jury and evidence. You're disavowing it.
You can label me anything you want. That
just a disavowal.
I stick to myself.
Yeah.
I disagree with the fact that the George Zimmerman was innocent.
Yeah, okay.
He was as guilty as hell.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Okay.
Mike
I accept
Brown,
that.
Michael Brown.
Yeah.
In Michael Brown case,
Yeah.
the same thing. I don't
Your
think,
opinion.
I don't believe justice had been applied.
Okay, we disagree. The guy had
The
his
problem we see now was exactly the fact that when we go that far in the past, we'll see those two incidents has provided wrong information to this nation, that of course I do not support their rioting. I do not support them burning cars, toppling statues, whatsoever.
Murdering cops.
Murdering cops. I go that with the same
Blinding cops.
power, same guts that I go against the death of George Martin. I mean, Trayvon Martin.
Right, yeah. That's fine, Jack. We disagree eternally on that.
Right now. Okay, my friend, let's take a short moment out. We come back and talk about the elimination of.
Well, we should, the core issues, there are two big core issues in the agenda.
Okay, sure. All right. Okay, my friend, let's be right back.
Everything is expected to straight. It's like seeing John Wayne.
My name is Paul James. I host this news every morning.
And a golden angel award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West with my friend, Mr. Ken Hemming. We seem to have a good time discussing about the BLM and its agenda. Of course, without seeing the understanding of where BLM come from, you will never understand BLM. And again, without understanding the agenda, you will never understand the BLM either.
That's
Right.
right. And
Now-
you'll go along and support it.
Yeah, exactly. With the analysis of the three women leaders, wonderful, beautiful women who I adore. Of course, I disagree partially, but partially. That doesn't mean that.
Do you adore them?
That doesn't mean they are not great ladies. They are not great women. And ideologically, we disagree each other. We may find out by talking, right?
Well.
Right. As to, if you ask me who Karl Marx was,
Right.
I can tell you right away, right on top of my head, what kind of guy that is. If you ask me who's the protege of Marx,
Right.
is, I can tell you now. And who is the protege of Lenin, I can tell you
Right.
who that is. All the way, they are going down chain. However, the chin going like so. Like the tip is almost nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? You cannot see the tip. Back in the past 1950, those years though, those days you will find lots of socialist countries, but right now you're
Right.
talking about
Not many. Venezuela,
Korea?
North Korea,
Venezuela.
yeah, which is a disaster. So there's some in South America.
Even Cuba is changing.
Well, we hope so. We're praying
Even
for
Cuba
it.
is changing. Chinese is a mixture.
It is, yeah,
China
you're
is a
blend.
mixture. Okay.
Right.
Very few survived.
Right. They
Which
just
means
don't
that.
survive.
Which means
It's not viable.
surviving.
Yeah.
How about that? Which indicates that with the system itself, the theory itself does not support itself.
It's not a viable economic system. And also, the citizens then cannot be happy.
And we
in that
moved
kind of
on
system.
to the history of BLM. We found out BLM was given birth to at a time in between Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown.
Right.
And I strongly hold my fort that I believe that we did something wrong in the first place during that period of time that delivered the wrong message to have offered a cradle for the BLM.
Well, Jack, let's just say this. One of their whole phrases that they love here is that they believe that there's systemic racism throughout America. I don't believe there is.
Of course, I don't
And
believe
also,
either. I don't
and they
agree
think,
either.
and they think that our towns, our government, and all the levels of government intentionally try to disadvantage black people, and it's totally not true.
Let me interrupt you.
Of course, it's
a
your
little
show.
bit, only to make one important point.
Yes.
That the fact that Jack Chow disagree with the stories of Trayvon Martin, who was dead, who was killed in injustice, and the fact that Jack Chow did not agree with the death of Michael Brown, who was executed in the course of justice, doesn't mean that I support the BLM.
Well, no, I hope not.
I do not support the BLM either.
Okay, the agenda for BLM, Jack, is two things. One, it is to eliminate all prisons and all forms of law and order. They're anti-law
They want to
and
let
order.
the inmates go.
They want to let them go. And then one of the other most important comments, and I want to read carefully. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another. Now, say 40 years ago, about 74% of young black kids grew up in a household with a mother and father. Now it's down to 24%. When you don't have both parents in there, it's very much harder for a kid to sort of be fully educated on a balanced basis and achieve greater success. Because then they look.
You go back to the jungle.
Well, that's right. That's right. That's what. And it's very sad because then the kids look to each other for support, and then they form gangs, and that's why there's so many in prison.
That's why I say the only way, if you want to de-escalate from that point on, though, your
Support
only way
the family.
out. Your own way out is that you go back to the jungle.
Support the family. And so if they're trying to get rid of it, and then also one thing to warn your viewers on, if I may, and that is when you get your receipts from shopping areas, take a close look at it, because like a person I know yesterday I got a copy of it. It's a 65 cents BLM charge. On there, they're charging you 65 cents to support Black Lives Matter, and you don't know that you're supporting an organization.
I never heard of that.
No, I did until yesterday, and I have proof of it. And also, my friend Wendy.
Is it illegal to do so?
I don't know if you volunteer to do it. I guess it's legal.
No.
But to not tell you, it's illegal.
Unless you volunteer.
It's illegal if they don't tell you.
Of course.
And like they asked Wendy, would you like to contribute 10 cents to BLM? And she says, no, of course not. And then the next guy behind her, they asked him, he said, no, of course not. So that's ridiculous that it's getting down to these corporations where their employees too, they're almost forced to make some contribution to it, and they don't even know what they're contributing to. They don't know they're contributing to violence. They don't know they're contributing to anti-law and order, anti-family, okay? They don't know they're contributing to anti-civilization. And it's very sad. That's why we just got to keep spreading it. And a lot of people are just too afraid to say anything, and I'm not one of them. And I just spread the love for families. Parents are needed, okay? Parents are needed. Fathers are needed. And so they're just taking advantage of this breakdown in family to try to build more power for their quote movement. And it's not a movement to benefit America, it's a movement to destroy America, period. That's my speech.
Of course. Now someday, until you see you have no more prisons.
Oh yeah. Oh well, it's insanity.
You have no more.
More cops. Jesus.
Cops.
Yeah. I back the blue.
Or you have cops that are not
Well, right. Not with the proper protection. Right.
All right.
And,
So What kind of life would that be?
Well, and one big problem right now, the suicide rate among police officers has grown quite dramatically, and we're all worried about that. So they got to have more psychiatrists and psychologists helping these cops get through this. And I'm telling you, Jack, you know, these are all in cities and states. And you know, I'm not making a conclusion, but their mayors are Democrats, radical Democrats, and the governors are, and they're holding back, growing back to our economy with businesses open and just spreading fear and terror.
I checked about the news of Portland this morning.
Oh.
I didn't find any.
Yeah,
So was that was
Well-
it acquiesced or that continued?
All they're looking for, because there's state troopers now that are protecting the federal building. It is our job to protect our federal buildings. There's a $2 billion courthouse.
You mean the protests are still there?
They're there. Now, it hasn't been as violent because there's state troopers in there now. But if anything lets down, they'll try to burn it down. And our federal agents will be back there in a nanosecond because they're still in Portland. They're still in town. They're observing and hoping and praying.
To your knowledge, of course, nobody has ever experienced what we see now, right?
We have.
Could it be possible to bring people to sit down to talk?
No. They won't talk because they're so committed to their hate of America and their desire to destroy our structure, our system, that they'll never give up.
What are they after, as a matter of fact?
The destruction of America's system, Constitution, Bill of Rights, and they want a euphoria made up of Marxism and
They
socialism.
have a slogan. They have a slogan.
Oh,
Slogan says, "Now we transform."
right, and they raise their fist. Now you raise your fist.
Now
That's
we
not a sign of
transform.
peace.
Now we transform.
You raise this fist in hatred, and then now we
No,
transform.
no.
They want the transformation.
What do they mean by transform?
Transforming
what is in the
us
word
away.
of transformation?
Yeah, transform away from believing in the Constitution, a civilized society, law and order, opportunity, okay, education. They use the education more for brainwashing than they do for educating. And so they want to transform America into Venezuela or into, you know, some of these countries that haven't, North Korea, where the government has all the power. But here's the thing, in America, there's enough people, and there's 300 million guns, and all the people that believe in America have
All
them.
right, my dear friend, we have only little time to mention about the money. How much money was invested in this whole thing?
Well, there's hundreds of millions. George Soros has put about 220 million into it. And he's a billionaire, and he just hates. You know, he's a globalist, and he doesn't like law and order.
Is that a open number public record?
Yeah, right here. Right here, George Soros Foundation pours 220 million into racial equality push, which a chunk of it is a Black Lives Matter thing, in his open
All right,
society.
my dear friend. Well, we're over time.
It's a fact.
They're pushing us.
Yeah.
We thank you very much, my audience, for watching. And to my friend, Mr. Ken Hemming, thank you very much for sharing. I believe that we did a very good show. I like the fact that everybody spoke their own minds, right?
We did.
So, all right,
Yeah.
we disagree, we agree, we disagree, we argue, we not argue, whatsoever. We enjoy the right and freedom under this beautiful flag of democracy. See you next time, please.
Right, and God bless America.
God bless America.